Thanks for tuning in again, everybody. We're back with your favorite podcast, Luca's Tigers and Bronze. Oh my.
What is up, Luca Nation? Welcome back to one of your guys' favorite kind of segments that we do, the Coffee with Cage segment. And today we did something a little bit different. We polled our two Instagram groups, our Instagram community, to see what questions they had for us. So if you're out there and you're looking for a community to join, I highly recommend it. You know, the IG groups are valuable. It's a great place to make friends, connect with Cage. How you feeling today, big guy?
I'm good, man. It's Black Friday, and I didn't do any shopping. So maybe tonight,
Do you have a turkey hangover? You slept later than I've ever seen.
Part 3 coming December 4th. You see that, buddy? Look at that. More Pokemon Journeys coming on December 4th. Yes. No, man. I mean, listen, it's funny. It was less the turkey hangover and more. There's a lot of good TV, and I was out yesterday.
Said no one ever.
I didn't have to wake up. I didn't have to wake up and cook yesterday. I was able to be lazy, and somebody cooked for me, and so that was nice. And when I came home, it was like, all right, well, I didn't really do much today. Let me watch some TV, and before you know it, it's 1:00, and then I put this movie on. It's a Richard Jewell movie. I don't know, you're not old enough for this, but in 1996, Atlanta had the Olympics here, and Richard Jewell was a security guard, and if you ask most people who did the Olympic bombing in '96, they'll say Richard Jewell, and that's because he was part of this. You'd love it, man. It's like
that went dark. That went dark quickly. I thought this was some kind of like inspirational movie, like a miracle. They did the Olympics in Atlanta. This Richard Jewell guy he ran the 4-minute mile.
No, Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson was the guy who ran he set his own world record there at the 100 meters. But no, but it was a really,
400, right? Michael Johnson was a 400-meter runner.
It was a really well done movie. I mean, like, I didn't know all the details and stuff on it. It was pretty cool though. It was like, so the next thing you know, it's 3 a.m, and I'm like, all right, that was worth it. So that's why I slept in a little bit today. But no worries. It was a good flip,
I will say, movies hit different from like 1 to 3 p.m. It's like this real stillness. You're not disturbed, you're not bothered by anything, and you could really be in the moment. So sounds like an amazing experience, Cage.
No, it was good just because, I mean, listen, I remember the story, but I don't remember, all of the details. I didn't know all the stuff behind it. And it's a pretty good movie to watch now as well, because it's relevant, right? I mean, not only does it have a sports component, but it's got a component of, big bad government kind of railroading somebody, and the media and the government combining to kind of, reach a result that would not be just. So anyway, read into that whatever you like.
All right.
Read into that whatever you like. But yes.
So, all right. So
to go back on topic, right? To go back on topic,
yes.
What Andrew mentioned there before I took it all on a tangent is Instagram groups. We have people who we put in Instagram groups. We reached out in the beginning of this and we said, hey, anybody want to get on an Instagram group with us? We have a lot larger listening audience now. I tell you at the end of these things, go ahead and message us. And I've gotten a lot of messages, just send a DM. If it's something you're interested in, you want to get into a Luca Nation Instagram chat, talk cards, we talk Pokemon, we talk, all sports cards, we talk everything, a lot of great stuff in there, new releases coming out, where to get, the inside scoop on when this particular website has stock, and you can go in and grab it for reselling and flipping. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff in these groups. So if it's something you think you might be interested in joining and, having a little more direct access to us, please send us a message and say, hey, I'm interested in getting in one of those groups, and we'll put you in.
Just to add something, I don't even know if you guys know this, but Instagram only publishes our content or shows our content in your feed to about 10, 12% of our audience. So we have 3,500 followers, 3,000 followers. That means only 300 to 500 people see it normally. So news, alerts, things that we have coming up, live breaks, PSA submissions, things that people want to be in the know and our community has asked us to do. Unfortunately, because Instagram is so big now, not even all of our fans see it. So the IG group is the first access to just about everything, just because when we post something, or even one of our fans or one of our community members post something, everyone sees it. And that's a huge benefit.
Yeah, I love it. Well, listen, let's jump into it. We'll try to make this one a semi-short coffee with Cage. You guys have things to do.
Impossible. I know my co-host. And
I'll do what I can.
He calls me every day. He says, Andrew, people say I'm long-winded, but that's just because I want to bring so much value to them. So I don't want to cut it short.
What I say every time is, hey, I got a question for you. It's 2 minutes. And then 12 minutes later, you tell me, hey, by the way, that 2-minute question took 12 minutes. It is literally every call, but that's okay. It is what it is.
I'm able to pick up the kind of the mood, the vibe you're in. So I want to start with this question, and it's a two-parter. It's from Yam, and he says, "Fear does not exist in this
dojo. Does it? And no sensei. No sensei. That's Kobra Kai right there. I love it. Nice job, Yam.
Does Cage take a Kobra Kai or a Miyagi-Do approach to the market?
It's Miyagi-Do, and I can't believe you didn't know it was Miyagi-Do. Now the audience is going to completely destroy you. Goonies, you thought Goonies here? You see the Goonies shirt on? You thought Goonies was bad, man? You've never seen The Karate Kid? You've never seen it?
Bro, I grew up playing sports.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I didn't sit at home and watch movies. I don't know what to tell you.
Now you got to go watch that. And there's I think Netflix has it now, the Kobra Kai show. So which one would I be?
Yeah, but dude, it hits different when you're 30 years old.
Yeah,
and you didn't grow up in it, so I didn't have the nostalgic feel. I was a Disney movie guy. Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Lion King. Those, I love them. But do
you would
take
rather
a Kobra
watch
Kai or a Miyagi-Do approach to the market?
You're telling me you'd rather watch The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast instead of The Karate Kid. You come on here. You come on here and make this too easy for me. Okay, so just to answer the question, right? It depends on when we're talking. So if it was when I was a kid and the original movie came out, obviously everybody pulled for Miyagi-Do because it was Miyagi, and he was, teaching karate the right way, and John Kreese was a sensei in Cobra Kai, and he was teaching these kids, basically to cheat, to take advantage of your enemy's weakness, and show no mercy, that kind of stuff. Which that's not cool. The show that's out now, it's almost like one of those alternate universe shows, right? Where you take it from the viewpoint of the kid Johnny who lost to Daniel LaRusso. And I got to tell you, the Daniel LaRusso character, he's horrible. I mean, he's miserable. I have a hard time pulling for him. And I think they're doing it on purpose, the way they're doing the show, where, they're making you try to hate him. So, yeah, it's a cop-out answer to your question, but I would take a little bit of the Miyagi-Do from the original when Mr. Miyagi was actually doing it, and a little bit of the Cobra Kai from now. Cobra Kai's got cool swag, man. They got beach towels. Cobra Kai, it's like that cool snake stuff. And, Miyagi-Do is just Daniel LaRusso, who's just, he's just a horrible character. It's tough to root for that guy. Sniveling.
I love it. Let's keep rocking. Giovanni, Goodfellas.
Giovanni.
This is a movie I could get behind. That's a movie I can get behind. I love mafia movies and Narcos movies and all that stuff. That's where I'm at. So Giovanni asks, thoughts on Fast Break serial numbered compared to Hobby Prism Color? I know a few people don't care for Fast Break parallels as much as in the hobby. I have a big Zion Fast Break, and I've considered moving it for a true blue Prism. What do you think of the long-term value?
Okay. So, this is a great question. And, one of the things that we used to look at, just regular Prism, just talk about hobby stuff before we get into the Fast Break, are the different variations of the, the cards that are in there. And there are so many of them, right? So sometimes it's difficult to keep track of them. And you're talking about within the hobby alone, before we get into the Fast Break ones, there are a ton of unnumbered ones, right? You're talking about Ruby Wave, Purple Wave. You're talking about, the choice yellow, blue, green. You're talking about the Tiger Stripe. You're talking about the pinks. You're talking about all the different ices, pink ice. There's just so many of these things, right? And there are less of those graded than silvers by a long shot. Hyper was one of the big ones for a while that was just undervalued, hard to grade. Hyper has actually seen an increase in demand. People are actually paying a little more for that. But something like a green, which is retail specific, it's something that just never really caught on, even though the population is pretty low. I view Fast Break similar to that, similar to almost like a retail one, even though they're numbered, maybe the ice ones. But here's why. Fast Break was always its own release, and it was always a lower price release. It was always kind of like the younger sibling to the regular hobby release. And with that, even though the cards themselves are as rare, I mean, I always go back to Devontae Graham just because I have them, right? So I had a fast break PSA 10 out of 125 Devontae, and I couldn't even trade that thing for like out of 299 regular hobby, even though clearly they're numbered. There's less than half of the fast break out of 125. And really, what it comes down to, economics wise, is for whatever reason, that fast break, just like the Mosaic in the past, when it was a portion of Prism, they just didn't have the demand that the regular hobby parallels had. So, Giovanni, Goodfellas, first of all, love you. Thanks for joining our breaks last Friday. Hope you got your cards by now. If not, they'll be there any day. You hit the nail on the head. And I think if I were presented with an opportunity to trade away a fast break numbered Zion for something that came out of the traditional hobby Prism, even something that was slightly numbered higher, like if you had, let's say, out of 150 fast break and you were able to trade it for out of 199 Zion for regular hobby, I'd go with the regular hobby, even though there's quote unquote more of them. I think there's going to be more demand for them.
In July, I had 3 Shy Gilgeous Alexander cards. I had a silver PSA 10, a hollow PSA 10, and a fast break purple out of, I believe, 75 BGS 10. So as you guys know, all cards exploded in August. The silver went from 600 to about 1,100. The hollow went from 600 to 1,000. The fast break didn't budge, didn't move. It was 600 in July, 600 in June, 600 in August, even when the market popped. So you're absolutely right. The market does not respect fast break for whatever reason. Drake asks, Prism, Optic, and Select have been kings in the hobby in 2020. Will that continue in 2021, or will sets like Spectra, Revolution, Phoenix, etc. get more love from the casual or new investor?
So I think the question itself leads to the answer, right? And Drake, thank you very much. You've asked a bunch of questions. Drake is one of the perfect shining examples of somebody who is a longtime listener who just reached out to us.
That's right.
And we said, hey, why don't you join one of our groups? And we just added him into a Local Nation group. So welcome, Drake.
He adds as much value. He showcases and tells me sometimes where to look. Drake is, dude, we appreciate how active Drake is. He's a great friend.
So on the question, I would tell you that you wouldn't have asked the same question 2 years ago. You would have just said Prism, right? And now your question is, hey, Prism, Optic, and Select are the leaders in the hobby. Will something else catch up? And the reason is because Optic and Select have kind of, closed the gap a little bit. Do I think anything's ever really going to catch Prism? No. I think what you might see is the gap between something like Optic and Select closed, especially when you have, like, let's just use Revolution because you asked you asked about that one in your question. I love that product because it's very attainable for any price level. The boxes are inexpensive. It's a cool shiny open I can open up with my son and not have to spend a ton of money on it. But there's also still those really high level chases that people go after. And it's a little hobby nugget here for you guys. There are people out there who chase these crazy limited cards like precious metal gems, right? The PMGs, those are the ones people really go after. Low pop, you name it. I've seen a trend in Revolution where people go after the Galactics. You ever see these Galactic parallels? They're very low pop.
I like them a lot.
And they're cool looking cards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen some real high prices paid for like Galactic LeBrons and stuff, and there's just none of them out there. So if the question is, can I see something like Revolution or a product like that, make up some ground with the leaders? Definitely. I think it already is. I don't think anything ever really catches Prism. What Prism has going for it is its widespread universal demand and a uniformity so that you can, Prism is like the perfect card for the liquidity that we talk about. Mm-hmm. You want to buy stock in a player who's coming out, you buy the Prism base card because that's what everybody's going to go after.
And I don't think Panini's stupid. I think that's actually what they're going after with it as well.
Yep. And I think that makes sense.
But I'll tell you, I agree with you. I've seen people pay big bucks for like a Trey Galactic PSA 10. You don't see a lot of those out there. I've seen 4 or 5 for sale. Like it's not a high pop card.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even though it's from a lower end quote unquote release, you still see people paying plenty of money for a Galactic.
Yep. Cage loves those shiny openings, as he mentioned just a few minutes ago. A story from Nate. We're getting you in your feels a little bit. Here we go. a story or current situation you're in where it's so hard to move a card based on emotional attachment. You have to, okay, sorry. Let me reread this because this is a story or a current situation where you have to move a card based on an emotional attachment you should move on from to achieve a different goal. Nate, thank you for putting my mind in a blender with your question. Commas and periods are accepted. But I think he's asking about a card you're emotionally attached to that you have to move on from.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, usually if I'm, attached to a card.
It's me, Nate. The secret's out. I'm the card that he's emotionally attached to that he's been meaning to move on from.
No, it's a player I like, but usually if I'm going to move on from it, it's because I'm trying to get something else of that same player. And one of the things we talked about last week a couple of times is having a goal, right? So, you're only going to move on from a card like that if you have to, and hopefully you have a grail, a goal, some kind of card that you're looking to buy using the proceeds of that sale. One of the best examples is he goes live all the time with the stuff that comes in. Our friend, Adam from Rips Cards. If you haven't checked out his account yet, check it out. But he obviously has emotional attachment to Giannis cards and to Trey cards, but he still sells them, and he sells them to consolidate those bases or silvers into a higher end, larger Grail type piece. So that would be what I would discuss doing. And I guess the other answer for this is try not to get too emotionally attached to your cards, because you get emotion involved and you try to think about like, that's my guy, right? I don't want to lose it. You lose a little bit of the the objectivity that you need in making decisions when it is time to move on from a card. So
I would maybe say, from my perspective, I get emotionally attached to every single card, but I'm able to focus on the bigger picture versus the emotions.
Yeah,
because every card I buy, I like, right? And we tell people to buy what they like. So it's really hard not to be emotionally attached. But I think it's, for me, it's not to let the emotion cloud your judgment when it is time to let go, based on your bigger investment strategy.
Yep.
Mr. Preston Amato. He'd love to hear your outlook on the future of baseball cards.
Nice.
When you think of cards, most people would think of Classic as a baseball card, but it seems like basketball, football, Pokemon have more popularity than baseball. What do you think?
Well, I think you're 100% right. I know Preston is really invested in baseball, and that's his sport. But yeah, clearly the sports and the cards, the collectibles, have caught up to baseball from other sports, right? Basketball cards are where it's at here. Football is doing well this year, but it doesn't do what basketball does. Football is not basketball, and baseball, it's weird, right? Baseball, it kind of runs ebbs and flows, kind of peaks and valleys, right? And I remember, while steroids is now taboo, I remember when the whole McGuire Sosa thing, baseball had come off of a really low time. Baseball had come off of scandals. Baseball had come off of strike. And the viewership was down, and then all what it took to get him out of that funk and make baseball again huge, everybody was talking about it, was that home run race. And yeah, I mean, at its base, the it was cheating, but at the time it wasn't, right? I mean, you look back on it now, and wow, that was just a cheating era, and none of those stats should count. Baseball's in a weird spot right now. The games are too long. The generation that is investing in these basketball cards, they don't even have the attention span to watch a 2-hour basketball game. They just watch 5 minutes of clips on Instagram or wherever else, YouTube. They're definitely not sitting down and watching what most would consider a boring, almost 4-hour baseball game with not much activity. So baseball's already aware of this. They're trying to increase pace of play, you name it, and take care of that. But they're also coming off of a couple seasons of scandals. You have the Astros and the Red Sox who have to get rid of their managers, and cheating scandals and whatnot. I will answer the question this way: baseball has to do something. They have the talent that they need to have a fan base energized. I mean, I don't remember the last time we had this good of a group of young talent from Acuna to Soto to, Tatis, people who can energize fans and people can get behind them. But baseball's got to do something. I mean, Preston, you're part of this, man. You should be pitching the stuff to these people. You should be, I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know if it's, increasing the offense. I kind of liked it'll never happen because baseball is one of those things that's so rooted in, baseball is one of those things that's so rooted into, history. It's been played since, the mid 1800s. So it's difficult for them to change their rules. But I mean, NBA, look what they did: add the 3-point line. They add a shot clock. They do these things which change the game a little bit, and all of a sudden, it's a much more exciting game. We
Let
watched.
me add a second question. Why do you think baseball always? Why do you think out of all sports, baseball faced more scandals in the last 20 years than other sports?
More players, more ability to cheat, more. Baseball's always had scandals. I mean, you go back to the Black Sox. You go back. I mean, there's just always been scandals in baseball. It's just part of the thing. And people talk about steroids. Before that, drug use was rampant, but it was uppers. I mean, there are people in the Hall of Fame who are well-known drug users. They just didn't use steroids at the time, and it'll be something else going forward. But I don't know. 2020. Everybody wants to complain about it. I've had a great year. But one of the things baseball was able to do with this short season was kind of experiment, and I didn't mind. You watched some because I made you watch it, so you knew what you were talking about in some of these episodes. The doubleheader 7-inning games. I wouldn't mind that. I mean, look, they shrunk the games down and made the 5th and 6th inning become relevant instead of just like the hump innings. Put the DH in everything's less bunting, less slow play. There are always going to be purists who say you can't do that. And, shortening the game takes away some of the stats. You're probably not going to have somebody hit 60 home runs when you're basically taking off a quarter of the amount of at-bats. But it's nice to, think about ways to speed the game up and get more fans, energized and entertained. The big difference that I see for Preston is baseball, for whatever reason, is like a compiling season. It's a compiling stat. And basketball is not. Basketball, we seem more enthralled with the guy who goes out there and puts up 50 points for one game. We don't keep track of how many points someone scored for the season. No one's saying LeBron's looking to set the record this year for points, and he's going to score 2,600 points this year, or whatever the number might be.
The interesting thing is that's actually exactly how they used to keep stats in the NBA.
Yeah,
and in basketball, 3,000. Like the old 3,000 point, 3,000 rebound leader in high school, you get like a banner. Yeah, that's a great take, Cage. Let's keep it moving because we can't give them all.
Go ahead.
Steve Harmon, my man, Steve. What criteria do you look for? What criteria do you look at when determining if something is a good long-term investment? Several years, in parentheses.
So if I'm going to hold something for several years, I mean, it's usually going to be something that falls into two categories. One, a prospect that I'm able to get cheap, and I think there's upside to holding it for 2 or 3 years. You're talking about a first Bowman baseball card, somebody who's got some sort of the ability to get on with a team. We just heard this week Wander Franco was actually injured, which is never a good thing. But somebody like him, somebody like Jason Dominguez, if you can get him at a decent enough price, these prospects who are going to come up in a couple years and you're able to get them when no one else is looking, or it's something that has a significant track record and a slow and steady climber. You're talking about GOAT cards. You're talking about LeBron cards. You're talking about Michael Jordan cards for basketball. You're talking about, Joe Montana cards for football, maybe even Tom Brady. You're talking about in baseball, Mickey Mantle stuff. You get it. Other greats as well, right? Hank Aaron, more common. Derek Jeter. Mike Trout is pretty stable. You buy Mike Trout. You can basically put it away and then check on it in a couple of years, and it will be worth more.
Well, could you elaborate then? Track record in terms of player, track record in terms of release, track record in terms of card.
Yeah, so I try to stick with the best card for the player, and if I'm going to hang on to something for a while, one of the reasons why I like
vintage cards, if we want to call them vintage. They're just cards for me because I'm vintage. But one of the things I like the most about the older cards is you knew what the rookie card was. I mean, you guys have all heard me talk about this. I love Mariano Rivera's 1992 Bowman card because that is his rookie. It's the only card he had that year.
2021 Halloween Cage is going as
Mariano Rivera
card
card.
on that card.
I'm gonna wear the Panama outfit. Definitely done. Book it now. What do these kids say? Bet. All right, put it down.
Bet.
So I'll do that. I don't care. But yeah, but part of what you're able to do. I mean, it's a great question. So Mike Trout, I would say the 2011 Topps Update is the card to go for. As you're trying to do that with cards now, it's much more difficult, right? Because unless you say, I want a Zion card, I want his Prism. I want a Luka card, I want his Prism. That's part of why I think Prism kind of stays head and shoulders above the rest of the bunch. But yeah, I mean, if you're trying to hold a card for a couple years, you want to have somebody who the card has a track record, the brand of card has a track record, and the player has a track record.
Clip that. That was fire, Cage. That was really good stuff. Kerwood asks, what's the optimal move with raw Burrow cards, specifically ones you planned on grading pre-injury? Get out now or continue as planned?
No, so I would continue as planned on it anyway. I know Burrow's injury is pretty severe. There's talk of potentially 18 months. Who knows? Look, the sports medicine is always changing. If I would anticipate that he is, most likely out for next season. Right? Although you never know, right? But I would anticipate he's out for next season. So the only change I would make on Burrow cards is I wouldn't rush on any of the grading on his stuff. I'd still be grading it. I'd still be trying to buy as many of these cards as I can right now. And when I say not rush, I'd still be submitting them now, but I'd be submitting them in whatever the lowest grading level you can get for the valuation of the card, right? Obviously, you bulk, you can't submit $1,000 card in bulk or value, but I'd be doing 45-day on most of his cards. I wouldn't be submitting, too many cards in a high level fast.
I'll tell you, this is a blessing. I don't know if you remember with Zion, his injury this year, he started the season late. So you can't really compare exactly, but what was interesting is people were giving away the most gradable cards, which with a player who's playing, you would probably sub those cards yourself. So I actually think it's an opportunity to get some of the best conditioned, best centered Burrow cards, send them in, just like Cage said, 45-day, because you're in no rush. And I think there's going to be such a hype when he comes back.
Oh, huge hype. And not only that, right? So you want to talk about perfect scenarios, right? It's weird because neither of them worked out because Clay got hurt now and Andrew Luck retired early. But what comes to mind on this with Burrow is his situation is actually be better not next year, but the year when he does come back. I think of the Golden State Warriors now. I think of the Indianapolis Colts when Peyton Manning got injured, right? And the Colts were able to draft Andrew Luck first because they took advantage of that injury, right? They took advantage of that and were able to go out and get their franchise quarterback. Same thing with the Golden State Warriors. They got the number 2 pick this year. I mean, this is a team that was, one of the best in the league, but they had some injuries, and now they're going to add this piece in Wiseman, who I think is going to be really, really good. And they're going to get healthy again. Obviously, Clay got hurt. I think what you're going to see is when Burrow does come back, the team this year is going to be worse because he's not there to win a couple games, which is going to give them better draft picks and give them somebody to be able to draft early. And next year, same scenario, because they're not going to have him. They're going to be basically tanking, which means hopefully when he comes back, he either has an offensive line that they've built up for him, some offensive weapons, maybe a running back, maybe a high-end wide receiver, somebody. I would expect the Bengals to basically be tanking the rest of this year and next year. Sorry, Bengals fans. But it winds up being a good situation because they already have their franchise quarterback. So they can use their draft picks, their collateral, their signing, their money next 2 years to build a team up that's ready to rock, give him the keys to the car and let him go. So
and now imagine getting the rookie hype on top of that, right? Because he's going to be coming back. People are going to be like, he's basically going to get the rookie treatment in the hobby. I think it's I think if there's one moneymaker that I would point to, that's it right there.
Yeah, if you're ready to hold, because you're going to have to hold.
If you're ready to hold, yes,
for a whole season.
That's a great point. But we'll table it there. Sammy Reyes asks, where do you see Pokemon for this? Is it me today that my brain is just a smoothie? I can't read, or Where do you see Pokemon with the 25th anniversary coming up?
So I mean, the 25th anniversary of Pokemon is big, but most people don't even realize it's 25th anniversary because it's 25 years from the 1996 Japanese release. The American release 1999. So it's really like 22 years. They'll make a big deal of it. It'll be huge. And honestly, Sammy, I think a lot of people have already built that into Pokemon. I think that's probably why it's one of the reasons that the big money is coming into it. I think when somebody talks up Pokemon and tries to convince another rapper or YouTube influencer or somebody to come in and spend that kind of money on Charizard, one of the things they say is next year is the 25th anniversary. So I wouldn't be buying a ton of stuff now on the hope that that 25th anniversary is going to drive prices any further. I think it's already kind of baked in. I'll equate it to like Hall of Fame. When I was a kid, people were always like, "Oh, buy this guy's card," and when he makes it to the Hall of Fame, his card will go up. That doesn't happen anymore. And now people buy the card a year in advance of the Hall of Fame to get that Hall of Fame, bounce. We've seen it with like Arnett, Paul Pierce. We've seen it with the basketball guys, baseball guys. People will buy well in advance, knowing that the Hall of Fame's coming. It's the same kind of thing. I think if you're thinking it, everybody else is thinking it. And if your question really amounts to, should I be buying now, expecting a bump next year when it's the 25th anniversary of Pokemon? I think we've already seen the bump because everybody else is thinking the same thing.
With the rise of modern speculative players, should we again be buying vintage? Do you see a similar run again in vintage like we saw over the summer?
Yes, I do. I think vintage is going to go back up. I think we've seen a slight little pullback of it. And the reason for it is because when modern goes up, vintage is going to go up as well. It's one of those rising tide lifts all ships. Some of the prospects, some of the young talent we're seeing sell at or near their highs. I mean, Trae Young's an example I use. Luka hasn't got there yet because his base card hasn't crossed 2,000. But Trae Young's cards, his base prism is selling for over $700 now. That's it's his high. His prism silver is over $3,000. Those are highs for that card. As the season starts, and you'll see people start to go up, and you'll see people start to pay $15,000 for a Kevin Durant rookie refractor. All of a sudden, people will again have the same sort of mindset, which is for the same price as that Kevin Durant card, I can go out and get a Hakeem Olajuwon and a Dominique Wilkins PSA 10 from 86 Fleer, same price. And those cards will go up. People will start looking in that direction. It's just what happens.
Let me just contextualize this real quick. A PSA 8 for a Larry Bird rookie card is like $200.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Bird.
Yep.
Larry Legend. So there becomes a point, right? Because there's always these trade-offs that we have. When the modern cards get too high, people are like, well, I could buy a legend for a fraction of the cost, and they start to move their money. It's just a logical move. Let me real quick double check.
While you're looking, the vintage becomes bargains when you're comparing them to what things are selling for now. It happens all the time. If Prism comes out with a Dutch auction on football, or on basketball release, and you're like, wow, that box just sold for $3,000. Well, last year's rookie class had a better rookie class, and it's selling for less. And people go and scoop the prior years up. It's the same thought process. Everybody's always doing that comparison shopping.
Love it. And we'll end with this. Okay. What matters more to a card's long-term value? It's a great question. The card being serial numbered, which creates scarcity, or the card being a tough grade, which creates scarcity and high grades? I feel like the former is an obvious one, but the latter, with research, where you could find huge value. Great question.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think that both of them create value. I like numbered cards because there's always this max amount that it could be, right? So 199, the card's numbered to 199, you're never going to have more than 199 pop, in tens. Probably going to be a lot less, right? Whereas a card that is notoriously difficult to grade, you're never going to have that top end on it, that cap, because it's not a numbered card. You don't know what's out there. Obviously, you can do enough research on it and know what the story is. I mean, a great example of this, even though it's not numbered per se, is like the Derek Jeter 1993 foil SP card. There's a ton of those cards out there, a ton of them. But in PSA 10, it's a 6-figure card because it's very difficult to grade it. Your Kobe Fleer Ultra is a great example of it. And I will tell you, if you are looking for a card like that, the easiest way to find those cards is right on PSA's population report website. you'll see cards that have a ton of 9s and not that many 10s. And the difference between the 9 and the 10 is a significant multiple. Just because there's either some foil issue, some edge issue, something with the card where, while it's okay for a 9, it's very hard to attain that gem in 10. So I like both of them, by the way. I think both of them will have scarcity. Both of them have known scarcity. And bless you, buddy, I have cards in my collection of both. Ones that are numbered, so you know what the pop's going to be, and ones that are not numbered, but it's condition sensitive. It's a black border or something like that.
I love when the player numbers the card himself and then signs right on the card. For me, that is like the coolest. There's this one Kobe card where he signs like vertically and he numbers the card himself. I just think it adds a nice little touch. That's my own 2 cents. There you guys have it. Another Friday coffee with Cage, the legend, the man. Cage, I'm really grateful for you. You're an awesome dude.
You know what I'm grateful for? All the people who ask questions on there. We mentioned most of you by name. Shout those questions out, and we'll do this again next week, and we make sure we mention you. Thank you all, and just a little reminder: if you want to get into any Instagram groups with us, just send us a message. We'll put you in. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for spending some time with us on another episode of the Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe. You know what? Don't just like and subscribe. Everybody does that. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell everybody. And we hope you got something from spending some time with us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.